What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Around the A emergency episode tonight. Atlanta, we have our future quarterback. The Atlanta Falcons have signed a quarterback, and as you can see by the repertoire that I have on, we got the chains rocking. I look just as white as Kirk Cousins, and that is our quarterback for the next 3 to 4 years. Welcome to Atlanta, Kirk O'Chains, Captain Kirk, Mr. Cousins. He spent a lot of time here in the A, in the 404, in the 770, in the 678. But now he's here officially in the red and black for the next couple years. And it may be a Wednesday night on the night of recording this, coming to you guys on the 4-year anniversary of the COVID breakout, March 13th. It's a victory Monday here on a Wednesday night, if you guys can tell by the shirt and by the chain. It's the Kirk Cousins episode, emergency podcast. We said we'd see you guys next week, and here we are. Man, oh man, is it a beautiful last couple of days as an Atlanta sports fan. Other than Sadiq Bey, of course, get well soon. But it's been an awesome last couple of days here for the Atlanta Falcons. A lot of stuff to go down, Micah. We kind of cooked last week's episode, man. What's been up? How you taking this all in?
Man, it's a lot going on with free agency, the draft coming up. It's a lot, and we plan on getting all these episodes out for y'all, get y'all informed, give y'all our opinions, what we think should happen, and how we think the season's gonna go. So, are you ready, Blake? Ready to get into it?
Yeah, I'll just say one thing real quick. Make sure you guys give a like, comment, subscribe down below if you like what you see to the Around the A YouTube channel on the podcast, whether it's a clip out and audio format coming soon. Make sure you guys just give us some support. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter as well on our ads down below. Me at News from Sports ATL, Micah over to the side at Micah TYN over the see the mirror thing always throws me off. You're that way. No, you're not that way. I don't know. Yeah, let's just get into it. Follow us on Twitter.
Yes, sir. Well, like Blake said, we got our guy. Kirk Kirk Cousins is in Atlanta. Kirk O'Chains, Kirk Frost, whatever you want to call him. Kirk Cousins signed on well, he agreed to a contract on Monday, signed today. A 4-year, 180 million contract, 90 million guaranteed. He's making 45 million in the first 2 years of his contract. Both years he's getting 45 million. 10 million guaranteed in the third year, nothing guaranteed in the fourth year. So essentially, it's a 2-year contract. They have option for the third year, uh, and the fourth year. So we have options if he's like me and Blake wanted a 2-year contract starting from the beginning of the from before it started, and that's essentially what this is for. But they gave him 4 years for a little bit of security if he's playing to the caliber that we want him to be, and if he's still playing that way after the second year, then this contract is great. A lot of Atlanta fans have problems with the high number, but we get a top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback. This is to and this is thrown for
Micah's you're lagging a little bit. You might want to repeat your last 15 seconds or so for the audience.
all right, but I was saying it's 2024, so this is the market value for a quarterback in today's game. And like I said, Kirk Cousins is a top 10, arguably top 5 quarterback. So this is, like I said, this is the money you got to give. And he's thrown for over 4,000 yards in seven of the last 9 seasons he's played. I wouldn't even count last year. I would say 7 of the last 8 seasons because he didn't play a full season last year. So a market value contract for a top caliber quarterback in today's game, and I'm expecting him to do big things, and I'm ready for him to get out here. What was your thoughts on the contract, Blake?
I love exactly what you said. That the key part in this thing is only $10 million is guaranteed after the second year. And so you're at a pause where, like, okay, year three he could be competing with, if he's regressed to that point, with another quarterback on the roster, and 10 million is right where you're at for quarterback two. And as you said, the market value has gotten so far to where like this isn't even a bad contract at all. Where the Falcons have structured it, the NFL you're able to move cap around so easily as we're going to see the Falcons do in the next couple of weeks. But obviously the Falcons were beggars at this point, and beggars can't be choosers. You had to pay the high price, and honestly, I'm all for it. Like I was live on Twitter when it happened, and when we signed him, I'm like, yeah, I had a feeling this was coming over the last couple hours. I'm just waiting for the numbers. And I said, I'm even when the numbers come out, I'm looking for where the bonus is set, and I'm looking to see what the guaranteed money is, because that's all that matters to me. Because I knew that no matter what we did, whether it was Justin Fields, whether it was a rookie, whether it was something out of left field or Kirk Cousins, that it was going to be better than what we had last season by canyons. And so I trusted Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris to make the right decision. And how refreshing is that, Mr. Neal, that we can trust our front office to make the right decisions for this football organization? They exactly did. Love where the guaranteed money set, and I couldn't be more excited. Like I would have been happy with Justin Fields for the right cause. We made the clip out of it. You guys saw it. I'm also thrilled with Kirk Cousins. I would have been awesome, exhilarated if it was Drake May or Jaden Daniels, or even if it happened to be someone like Baker Mayfield. Now guys like Penix, Ritter around two, Russ, not so much. But I just knew that no matter what we did, it was going to be better, and I trusted them to make the right decision based on everything they were saying post Raheem Morris hire. And this is exactly what that is. And we've already brought in some additions to help them, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But man, oh man, was it a great day to be a Falcons fan and to wake up that next morning with it being official? It was the first time I felt joy as a Falcons fan, and real joy, not just fake 2-0 joy from September. And I don't know, 5-6 years. It was fun, man.
I mean, like you said, we haven't been able to trust our, general manager or head coach in years for a situation like
Or
this.
Rich McKay.
Yep, it's something we haven't been able to do as Falcons fans, and to see it happen, see us be able to trust him, the organization, to do something like this is great. And like you said, we would have been happy with all the other options, but the Falcons went and got the best option out there, the ready option, the option that we didn't have to go to draft and develop, the option that we didn't have to, um, trade for, give up picks, and Justin Fields would have had to give up picks. And then if he didn't turn out to be the player we thought he would be, we would have had to let him walk for nothing, or we would have had to give him a big contract off of one season of play, not knowing if he's the guy or not. So they went for the best player, and in their eyes the best option. So you can't be mad with it. Moving on, as of today, March 13th, Kirk Cousins was signed his contract today, and he had his introductory press conference today. Um, he made the drive from Michigan to Atlanta today, and he had a about 40-minute press conference today. He looked happy. He had a lot to say. A lot of questions were answered. A lot of Falcons fans were satisfied with the press conference. Loved what he said. And and a lot of Falcons media, you can see, we're happy to have him. He's a great guy. We know he's the type of quarterback he is, how good he is, and the press conference today just boosted the morale of everybody. And hearing the things he had to say was just amazing to hear, and it's somebody we can get behind in Atlanta. And we get into the stuff that he said moving forward, but Kirk is amazing. And I can't wait to see what he does for Atlanta, and you can tell he'll be a great guy for the community too. Um, so moving into the press conference, the Falcons got a little bit of help from a long time division foe and Drew Brees, Saints quarterback Drew Brees. Um,
Not a
Kirk
Hall of
Cous-
Famer noodle arm. Not a Hall of Famer noodle arm.
Kirk Cousins. He couldn't talk to player. He couldn't talk to people in the organization um, about moving on to the Falcons because he is still under contract with the the Vikings. So it would have been illegal tampering. So he reached out to Drew Brees for a little bit of help to ask about Terry Fontenot. Kirk said that that Drew Brees was just raving about Terry Fontenot about how great he is. Drew Brees was with Terry Fontenot in New Orleans for 15 seasons, and I mean, Kirk Cousins already had experience with Raheem Morris when he was in Washington, and he had coaches around him like Kyle Shanahan, Mike McDaniel, and the entire coaching tree, and it's a lot of great coaches that came from that. And he's talking about how Raheem Morris was, a part of that great coaching tree, and how he did stuff that was out of the ordinary for a defensive backs coach. He went to he went to the quarterback's room. He went to the offensive side of the building, and he learned, and he's at the point that he's at today, and he's ready to play for Raheem Morris, and he's excited. Um, what did you get from the long time division foe that we don't speak of, the Noodle Arm, helping out the Falcons, giving us an assist, Blake?
I forget what his name was, but it's interesting that that Kirk reached out to whoever his name was about how to not tamper, how to do things legally, how to do things without cheating, how to do things properly, how to do things within protocol. Have I said enough yet? I don't think so. But it's amazing that Kirk went out of his way to show this guy, hey, this is how things are done the right way, so you're going to help me. And not to be named New Orleans quarterback was like, all right, I guess I have to. There's nothing else I can do with me just being retired. And I was too shook up for the broadcast booth. Former Falcons quarterback is already rocking it over in CBS. Wish he was on Fox so I could see him more often. But he's rocking it in the Fox broadcast with Tiki Barber and on the halftime show on certain weeks. But this guy gets up to NBC and is up there with Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels and is shaking. So that's exactly where Buddy's at right now. But props to Kirk for reaching out to him. And some people, there was jokes flying around that he wanted to make sure that he was able to get 100 million guaranteed because he knew that Terry is quote on the hot seat. I don't know if he's absolutely on the hot seat. It's definitely a warmer seat, and it's not really his fault. It's more so Arthur and Rich's fault. Arthur is an Arthur Smith's fault, but because you know where you and I stand on Terry Fontenot, Mike and Neil. Whoa, I just said your whole government name. Sorry about that. But we just spoke about it a couple of minutes ago on how we feel confident in him, but also like Kirk basically said it in his drive down that he's chunked it up in a lot of different facets. He chunked it up between, a stop to see former teammates, to be able to take phone calls while having to fight the kids in the back seat to share their Disney Plus properly and probably have Julie take the wheel. But shout out, that's the new Sarah Ryan, that's the new quarterback queen. That's shout out Julie Cousins and the kids. They're not quite the Ice Cubes, but we'll take them in as the new ones. They're basically about the same age as the Ice Cubes are now. I'm rambling at this point, but yeah, I'm just happy to see that Kirk was able to reach out properly to Drew Brees.
Yeah, we in Atlanta, we don't do that cheating stuff. We do stuff the right way. And one thing I do want to add is how Kirk Kirk is talking about his wife's father. He's a long time Atlanta fan, Hawks fan, Braves fan, Falcons fan. And Kirk talked about how he would come during the summer and live in his um wife's parents' basement, and he would see his father-in-law watching the games, how passionate he was, and how he was, as Kirk said, almost praying for for the teams to win. And Kirk said he came to the last two games in the Georgia Dome and watched them, and it's just like a storybook writing for Kirk to end up here with his wife being from Atlanta, um them having their first date in Atlanta, their first kid being born at Ted Turner Drive. Um it's just
Remind us what that kid's name is again, by the way, on Ted Turner Drive.
Turner.
For a
It's,
reason, yeah.
yeah, and it just all makes sense. And he said he wants to be here, and he wants to play to where he's able to retire in Atlanta, and that's just storybook. If it's able to happen, It's great. It's great for Atlanta. It's great for Kirk, and it's great for his family. Moving on. This is a part where a lot of Atlanta fans, including myself, are a little bit worried. Kirk Cousins said today that he wasn't 100%. In his quote, he said, "Taking dropbacks and throwing the football, there's really no problem with that at this point. Getting out of the pocket getting out of the pocket at the moment is a little bit tricky, and that's not something an Atlanta fan wants to hear. Yes, he's coming off of a Achilles injury. Yes, he's still rehabbing and healing, but um, at this point, this question is like, will he be ready by the time training camp start, OTA start, and it's a little bit worrisome. What's your thoughts on that, Blake?
Well, I know it's Kirk Cousins, so you're not going to see him outside of the pocket as much as Marcus and Dez and Taylor were. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. Like, you want him in the pocket. You know, you might have the occasional first down run, just like Matt Ryan had, but like, you want him in the pocket. And I was listening to the Locked On Falcons, so shout out our guy Aaron, on the day of the signing, and I'll kind of use his analogy. And he's like, I'm not really as worried as a lot of people were, and I'll tell you why. And he said because he's not really going to be going a lot of places. He's not going to be running the read options and the RPOs and the bootlegs that you saw with younger Matt Ryan and the mobile guys that Arthur had in here. And so just let him take it easy with the OTAs, mostly just use that to game film with Zach Robinson, game film with TJ Yates, and game film with his new coaches. Being that I know he still has experience working with Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson, but just like Matt Ryan did with Dirk Cutter and other guys that had worked with former coordinators in the past, it still takes time to learn the offense. So I'm mostly just I want him in the film room, learning his teammates' chemistry and learning how to work this offense while he's able to stay off that Achilles as much as possible until about training camp, and we'll see where he's at. But like I said a second ago, I don't think it's as much of as a worry as I'd say take it to be anymore as well, because I don't really want him scrambling outside of the pocket 15 times a game anyway. But it's still only March. We'll see where he is by July, and then we'll know for sure if he'll be ready by week 1 or not, because that's, I'm sure, what this next conversation is going to lead into.
And one of the things I like is how Kirk was, honest and transparent through the entire press conference. He wasn't trying to sugarcoat. He wasn't trying to hide. He wasn't trying to lead our thoughts or imaginations into the wrong place. He was being truthful and honest and transparent. But with Kirk not being 100%, me and Blake last show talked about us needing a backup quarterback if we signed Kirk Cousins as we did. And there's been reports coming out saying that the Falcons like Taylor Heineke as a backup to Kirk Cousins. Um, Taylor Heineke is a great backup. He was a great backup in Washington, and he does a job as a backup. It's his contract is my problem, but um, it's 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 hard to create more money, um, create more money for a backup. As like I said, 2024, the market continues to rise and rise, and looking at the backup quarterbacks contracts that they're getting in today's free agency, it's not much we can do to change Taylor's contract. Are you okay with Taylor Heineke being the backup quarterback for Kirk Cousins, Blake?
Not on this contract, no. I get it might only be 2 to 3 million, but that 2 to 3 million might sign you someone on the market. That might bring back one of your two own, one or two of the guys of your own. That might sign one or two of your rookies that play a huge part. So I'm still cutting him. And if I have to bring him back for a cheaper option, even if you're only saving 3.5 million, I'm doing it, man. Like, obviously, I was big on the Gardner Minshew idea as quarterback too. That was going to be the topic of this conversation. Couldn't get into it last show due to time constraints, but I think we spoke about it off air, and I was like, I made a tweet about it, and I was like, I want Minshew on this team as quarterback too, no matter what the quarterback one is, because if we go with Kirk based off his history with Zach Robinson, like we did, We don't know how the Achilles looks at 36 years old, so we need someone who is stable, experienced, and capable as a game manager in the backup quarterback position, and that's pretty much what Gardner Minshew has been his entire career so far, with some bad Jacksonville teams coming in for injured Nick Foles, is coming in for Jalen for the Eagles the last couple of years, and he won, I want to say, 67%, like, or 3 out of 4 of his starts that he had the last couple of years coming in for Jalen Hurts. And then last year coming in for, the hotshot rookie Anthony Richardson, comes in and about led the Colts to the playoffs if it wasn't for a loss to Atlanta on Christmas Eve. And like basically, as you said with the quarterback market value, he earned himself a starting spot out in Las Vegas with that regime staying in place. They're saying goodbye to Jimmy Garoppolo. They're not really taking the bait on Fields right now. They said we're going to keep O'Connell as an option, and we're going to bring in Minshew. So congrats to Minshew. But I think he did earn that starting job. But I really wish that he was on the market to be able to sign him, replace Heineke, and that way I know, okay, if Kirk misses week 1 and misses another game later in the season through to Achilles stuff, I can trust this guy to manage this game properly and probably get me a win with the weapons we have around him. He was able to do it last year with Pittman and JT. Like, why couldn't he do it here? Because I need Desmond Ridder being that healthy scratch clipboard holder QB3, and I'm willing to save a couple $1 million with Heineke to be able to bring back some of our own, pay some of the rookies, and find some other gem in free agency where the market is right. So I'm still cutting Heineke. And honestly, my first choice as of right now, Micah, would probably be to pivot to Carson Wentz. I don't know if he'll be cheaper or not. Maybe that's a conversation we can have a little bit more in depth in the future as the offseason goes on. But Carson Wentz is someone else who I think is similar to Minshew in the fact that he is a game manager at this point. He has led a team to a Super Bowl. Not saying he's a starter by any means, but I think he's a more valuable option than Taylor Heineke is, especially if it's for the same price, being that he also has worked in the Zach Robinson, Raheem Morris system. So there's familiarity there. So like now that Minshew's off the board, I'm probably pivoting to Wentz, even if I'm only saving a couple million in the process. But to answer your question all in short, I'm still cutting Heineke for the right reasons.
I can't say that I disagree with that. Carson Wentz is a great option. He has experience. He'd be great for the locker room. Um, he's also, him and Kirk Cousins, are the same type of, you know same type of person. If you know what, like, with their religion and how they stand and how they view things, So, um, so yeah, I don't disagree with that idea. And if we were to, if we were to cut Taylor Heineke, I think that would be a great option to pivot to. Moving on, we have Kirk Cousins praising the organization and team. Um, one of the things he made sure he said was the main reason he chose Atlanta was because when the owner, the general manager, the head coach, and the quarterback are all on the same page, that's when you have a real chance to go out and win the Super Bowl. And that's been the thing since Raheem Morris has been here. He's been talking about having a collaborative effort with Terry Fontenot, with Zach Robinson, with Jimmy
There's a
Lake.
lot of variables in that conversation, Micah. Just remember that.
Yeah,
This isn't fantasy football.
and it's just amazing just hearing it from the top down, from the general manager down to the quarterback. And Kirk Cousins still said it's a lot. We still got to build continuity. Continuity isn't going to be a thing that comes overnight. You still got to build it. But having a, like Raheem said, collaborative effort from the general manager down to the quarterback to the players, everyone in the building. That's just a great thing to hear. Um, Coming from the guy that we just signed 3 days ago. They just agreed to a contract 3 days ago, 2 days ago, and it's just great. And did you want to speak on that, or you want me to go to the next quote?
Yeah, I'll say something. I kind of just put it in private chat behind you, but it's the opposite of what the Hawks are at right now, where they're completely compromised from the top all the way down to the players, from the wrestlers and Steve Koonin down to the first time general manager and the first time assistant general manager who have no experience at the position to stars being disgruntled and them hiring bad coaches and the player that's how a bad organization stays bad. And just like the Falcons have been, the Hawks are a bad organization right now. And I don't know if they're winning or not right now. That's not really part of the problem. of the show. But this is how you turn, a ship around, is you get your pieces set correctly and you go from there. You learn how to weather a storm, and you learn how to turn a culture around, and you have to be on the same page to do that. And with Rich McKay out of the picture, we're hoping that's the truth, at least. And Arthur finally, letting Terry make his decisions. Obviously, they're going to be on the right page. Terry's probably the one that hired Raheem. They seem like they're best friends already. Obviously, they're going to be on the right page, and obviously, without no matter what they did, a quarterback was going to be a major upgrade. They're going to be on the right page. So that is how you set a standard culture of success right there. It starts from the top. To use the
Mhm.
Braves as an example, that's exactly what they've done as well with Alex and Snit all the way down. They've lost some pieces over the last couple years, but they've been able to retain them by keeping that Braves culture. And the Falcons are trying to set their own winning culture. And this is exactly how you do it. It starts from the top. And if the Hawks want to get back to a winning progress again, like the Hawks are doing right now, once again, it starts at the top. So obviously, glad to hear it. And before we do move on, I just a question to you. Are we going to talk about some of the phone calls that he was taking on
Yep,
his route back from Michigan? Okay. So
that's
I'll
next.
save my comments for a minute. But obviously, I'll click it for you. Kyle was a huge progress in this recruitment for Kirk. I'll let you start with that before we talk about whoever else Kirk talked to on his journey down south.
Um, just talking about Kyle Pitts. He was the first one to contact Kirk Cousins. Um, text him and said we're ready for you to take us to the promised land. And like Kirk said, for us to get to the Super Bowl, it take like it starts from the top and it comes all the way down. It's a team thing. And for the number, they had a little a funny conversation. Um, Kirk was like offering to write a check, give him a check, donate to a charity or something. And Kirk said, I mean Kyle said, all I want is targets every game. I want targets every game. And, and it was funny for him, funny to hear that. And you see how he feels about his past quarterback, um, not getting targets and all that. But Kirk Cousins is that type of guy to target his tight end. You see what he did with T.J. Hawkins in the last couple of seasons in Minnesota, and Kirk Cousins already praising Kyle Pitts from just being at the Pro Bowl. That wasn't full speed, but he just seen the size of Kyle Pitts and the potential he has, and that this could be a scary duo coming into the league starting next year. Um, and with back to him, Kirk Cousins continue to praise the locker room. He said he was on a taking phone calls the entire drive from Michigan to Atlanta, and he just and the overall thing he said was the locker room is sharp, well spoken, humble, and ready to win. And to hear that from a guy that just joined the team, that's like I said, it's amazing to hear. It's great stuff to hear. And from the leader, the leader of a team, hearing that about the young guys on this team, hearing that about B. John Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Caleb McGarry, Jake Matthews. It's great to hear him talk about players like that. With him just getting here and already knowing what the temperature of the room is, the temperature of the team is, we're ready to win. And like you said, they're humble, well spoken, and the locker room is sharp. It's great to hear that. How did that make you feel?
Well, first of all, how would you feel if you were standing in line in Disney World with your family and you were getting unknown text messages from people saying they were Kyle Pitts? How would you take it? Calling you by your nickname.
Kirko.
So that was hilarious. But I like that he mentioned the names on certain people that he talked to, and he was able to mention how sharp this team was as a young team. They're young. Kirk is going to be like one of the veterans of this team, which is what we need. But this team is young, Micah. This is why we're in a spot now to be able to get the quarterback this offseason. We talked about it last show, and I talked about it on the Twitter space recently. The Falcons couldn't go get Lamar Jackson last offseason. Not that he was available anyway, but they couldn't do it. We needed to fill out a roster. We needed another draft class with the players to get this young core together. That's why I kind of feel bad for Matt Ryan, because if Matt Ryan was on, if we had 35-year-old Matt Ryan with this team, with this roster, we're probably just set as we are with Kirk Cousins, because in the last couple years since Matt Ryan's departure, this team has built its core back from the ground up, from building its roster out, finally having money in free agency to spend and other assets of the team to now be able to get the guy in place. And I mean, we just mentioned it last show, and you and I have spoke about it for years. We said this team was set up to be built backwards, and it was set up for them to build the roster and then get the quarterback. That's exactly what these last couple of years have been. I'm not even talking about the on-field product with Arthur Smith and the quarterbacks he put out there, but that's exactly what Terry Fontenot has done with his arms and legs tied behind the back to Rich McKay. He built this roster backwards, and it's gonna work, man. It's gonna work, and it's gonna be wonderful.
I mean, yeah, and it's just great to see, like when, like you said, Terry's hands were tied behind his back, and he still was able to build a great roster where you could just where you could plug in a great quarterback like Kirk Cousins, a veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins, um, to to move this team over the top and push them to what many think are contenders at this point. Um, Moving forward, Kirk Cousins agreed to a contract on Monday, and he got straight to work. He got straight to work. He had a conversation with I believe Terry Fontenot, and they said, "We're right here. We're right here to sign this player." And Kirk said, "Let me call him. Let me text him." And a couple hours later, the Falcons signed Darnell Mooney to a 3-year, $39 million contract, 26 million guaranteed. 2024 cap hit is just 7.45 mil. So the 3-year 39 looks like a little too much, but if you look at how the contract is broke down, it's not it's market value. The 39 mil, he won't see all of it. The Falcons
Also,
are
look
able
what
to,
Ridley and Gabe Davis got, and what T. Higgins is gonna get. This is a good deal. It really was. So
yeah, definitely. He's one of the top free agent receivers out there, and Kirk was able to get a guy he wanted, and Darnell Mooney, and like I said, it's not a big contract, and the Falcons are able to get out of it. Um, if he's not the receiver that we're expecting him to be. How do you feel about Darnell Mooney joining the this Falcons receiver core?
First of all, shout out to one of my former baseball coaches who used to work on 92.9 The Game, Jeff Benedict, who, I played here for years with his son, always looked up to him in the media industry. And I'm glad to see that his sources have just been knocking it out of the park recently. He was, one of the first people, if not the first person to mention that Darnell Mooney to the Falcons was happening. That's where I got my source from. And I was telling people on other apps that weren't Twitter users to expect a Darnell Mooney signing within the afternoon to, an uproar of people were down for it. And he was also the one that after we saw that Daniel Hunter, Kirk Cousins' teammate, didn't sign with us, he let us know the information that for Daniel Hunter's scenario, the Falcons offered him as much as they could, 3 years, $75 million, but he decided to go to his hometown, Houston Texans, for only the 2 years with more guaranteed and the no state tax in Texas. But the Falcons did swing as hard as they could for Daniel Hunter, which is honestly, I will take it because that is exactly who you and I wanted, other than the quarterback. And they tried their best, and that lets me know that they're probably still going to find somebody to add, and at probably number 8. So just wanted to say out there, Jeff Benedict, one of my former coaches, he's blowing up on Twitter right now. Shout out to him. He is doing amazing work, keeping us all involved. He's the one that was saying that, Khalil Mack's probably going to end up staying in LA. He does. He thinks that Bosa is probably going to be cut, and we're going to have Joey Bosa here in a couple of weeks, or maybe Keenan Allen in a couple of weeks. So look for one of the John Harbaugh non-fitters to be here in Atlanta in the next month or so. But yeah, regarding, do you mind rephrasing a little bit of your question again so I can get back on track?
I just want to know how you feel about Darnell Mooney joining the Atlanta Falcons receiving core with Drake London and Kyle Pitts.
I'm obviously all for it. I'm a little afraid, being that he only scored one touchdown last year and it was in week 1. But you and I've had that discussion. We think it's like a Pitts thing where not a lot of targets. And just remind me who his quarterback was. Just to throw it out there. But he's someone that I feel like was very underrated for a couple years and slowly became a little more less talked about when the Bears did add guys like DJ Moore. They swung for it with Chase Claypool. Obviously didn't work out. So he was always like there, but he was never, in the scenery. And now he's going to be able to have a chance for I think him and Drake are going to play off one another. I'm not saying he's the same archetype as Calvin Ridley as we talked about in last show. He's like the perfect wide receiver too. That's why he fit with Julio so well. Julio would bracket these, that he was the 6'6" dude bracketing up guys, and Ridley would come in 15 yards over the middle, bang, hit you where it hurt, like Taylor Gabriel was doing in the Super Bowl. I don't think Mooney's exactly that, but I'm also not saying Drake London is Julio Jones. So being that they're not exactly the same fit as the previous duo we had, I think it's going to work out perfectly. Obviously, still got some more work to do there. I still think we draft a receiver. Still think we probably add one in free agency. I still think guys, a guy like Cordero Hodge or Van Jefferson comes back. It does put us pretty much at our cap limit for now, because I think we had 15 million entering that second day, and I've obviously spent 13 or so million on it with him. So, being that some of it was put in the bonus, which Mickey Loomis taught Terry to do after all these years, that's why Kirk isn't as much money as we really think either. Falcons probably only have 3 or 4 million right now, and that'll probably be used to sign a couple of their in-house guys, and they'll restructure, get back in the market. But you know, I'm definitely not the complainer that Darnell Mooney's here. I think he's going to be a great fit with Drake London and whoever else is added. And just let's just stack up the weapons for Kirk, man, because we talked about it. He hasn't made an NFC Championship yet before. Let's get him this best defense he's had in his career, which we have the potential to do, and let's get him. Even he had some weapons in Minnesota, so he shows he can get us there. But let's get him even over. Let's put this team over the top, and Darnell Mooney helps put this team over the top for sure.
Definitely, I agree. And just looking at what he had in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Darnell Mooney is a very similar, build, very similar type to Jordan Addison. Same height, similar weight, same speed. Um, and it's just, I feel like this is a guy that Kirk Cousins really wanted when he heard that the Falcons were going after him. For him to say that, just let me call him, just let me text him, and um for him to get a guy like this with already having a big targets like Drake London and Kyle Pitts is just gonna open up the field even more. Um, and we just talked about like giving Kirk weapons. He has, like I said, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, now Darnell Mooney, and B. John Robinson and Tyler Algier. He has weapons everywhere on this offense, and the Falcons aren't done adding. We still have the draft to add offensive weapons. And like Blake said, who knows? We might have Keenan Allen here in a couple of weeks, or in the near future. So um, Kirk Cousins will not be short of weapons, and we're giving him everything he needs. And one of the things I liked hearing Kirk say when he text or call Darnell Mooney. Mooney said, "I just want to win. I just want to win." And he that's he ended up in Atlanta, and that's
We
the
do
goal
too,
for
Darnell.
everybody.
We want to
That
win.
that is the goal for everybody in Atlanta. The fans, the players, the coaching staff, the organization. We all just want to win. This is what Atlanta's been looking for. We've been wanting this for years, for years. Um Kirk was at the last Falcons game that the Falcons hosted, the last playoff game that the Falcons hosted, and
Yeah, I
just
was too.
just just to think that that was in the Georgia Dome, and we've now been in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium for years. It's just crazy to think about. Given all the time that's passed by, and Kirk wants to get us back to that. He wants to host the first Atlanta playoff game in Atlanta. We had a Super Bowl played in Atlanta before the Falcons have played in in their own new stadium for the for the playoffs. So we're trusting Kirk to get us back there. We still have more pieces to add, and we're just ready. Moving on to the next topic, we have we're talking about Blake has the proof from the last game in the Georgia Dome. Was that
Yeah, Kirk and I were both there, man. Yeah, it
against
was
the
against
Packers?
it's against the Packers, who Kirk owned when he was in Minnesota. And I'm actually gonna throw it up over, so I'm double chained up, just like Kirko chains will be. I'm gonna have two chains on for the rest of the episode. So yeah, shout out all the people that were there to see us dethrone the Packers with Devontae Freeman, Adrian Claiborne, and Vic Beasley on the ticket. I used to have a Devontae Freeman poster here, but I think my cat tore it, so it's no longer up there. But I used to have one, so I want to get a new one because I liked it, and free still cool. So
That was fun times. can't wait for us to get back there and pass there. But moving on,
All right, sorry about that. Pause, guys. Micah's mic was, acting up there for a minute, so I didn't want his point to be lost in the process. So sorry for that edit, but we're back to the action. Micah, go ahead and repeat what you were saying about the areas we still need to address. Go ahead.
Um, I was just saying that the Falcons have addressed quarterback and we've addressed receiver in free agency, and we're not done yet. I still think we have areas to address in free agency. We got quarterback with Jeff Okuda. Jeff Okuda signing with the Texans. Blake wanted to add to this, but he has his headset off right now. Uh, did you want to talk about Jeff Okuda leaving in free agency?
Yeah, I think he got 6 million, which is I don't think the Falcons would have paid him that. We talked about it as well. Like he got benched at the end of the year, so you could kind of see the writing on the wall. But like he had an amazing first half, him and AJ together. The only thing I'm a little afraid of is he is the only quarterback in this room with size. Clark Phillips cannot be a two. D. Alford cannot be a two. Mike Hughes and Trey Flowers do not move the needle. So obviously the Falcons are going to have to add some sort of like we already think they're probably going to add a safety in free agency, being how deep the market is. They're probably going to find someone for undervalue. That's awesome, but they're definitely going to have to add a corner or so, and that's with AJ Terrell not being extended yet, and so with Akuda leaving, it's like okay, well I don't want a basketball wide receiver room and a ping pong sized cornerback group because I'll go back to it again. I mentioned it on a couple episodes. In the last week of the season, Clark Phillips, who played really well in his snaps from when he got into the game on throughout the rest of the year, played awesome. People said that he was one of the steals of the draft, which I truly believe he was. He probably was about a second round pick that we got in mid four. He was someone that played perfect defense on Chris Olave in the last week of the season, but his height just he couldn't finish the play. Olave was able to tip it up to himself for a perfectly placed touchdown. I was like, oh, there's the New Orleans voodoo luck. But in reality, what it was is just Clark Phillips is undersized. And so you can't have him out there every week against guys like Mike Evans and Chris Olave that are going to be in this division for a long time. Now, DeAndre Johnson doesn't really scare me as that. As other news, Carolina got their wide receiver one, and he's one of the worst wide receivers I've ever seen. But I am a little scared for the fact that Akuda is gone, being that he was the only corner with size. Like I would have been happy with bringing him back if it meant we lost someone like Mike Hughes or Trey Flowers, even D. Alford, just because he brought something that the rest of the group couldn't, and it was really meaningful in his snaps he did play.
Absolutely. Like a lot of people say, you can't teach size, and that's what the Falcons are lacking right now at the cornerback position. There's still names out there like Kendall Fuller. He's probably gonna get a lot of money, but if he's not looking for money, you still got somebody like him or a Stephon Gilmore, Steven Nelson, or
I'm good on Gilmore. He's like 40. I'm good on that.
yeah. Um, I would personally want him because he could be a great teacher for AJ Terrell and the rest of the corners in the
Yeah,
if he's cheap.
he could be a great teacher, but I need someone that can play. And that's what Calais brought last year. He was a teacher, but he balled out. And I don't know if Gilmore will be able to ball out. So, like,
I
I,
would
I
say
need.
Gilmore had a pretty good season until that last playoff game where Dan Quinn cooked up an absolute
There you go,
masterpiece of
DQ.
trash.
Let's go, DQ.
But yeah, and we still have L'Jarius Sneed via trade, but what's his name? Jeff Benedict. Is that his name? Yeah, he
Call him Coach Jeff. Coach Jeff. That's who he is
yeah.
to me.
On Twitter, he was saying that the Falcons are no longer interested given the amount of money that his camp is requesting. So we might be out on a luxurious need, but it's still a lot of serviceable corners out there that the Falcons can get. And we also need to like Blake said, we also need to add another safety. Richard Grant, he was one of those players we was hoping for him to be the next great safety for the Falcons, and he just didn't pan out last season. He still has room to grow, and but I'm just not comfortable going into the next season relying on him. So We still got options like Justice Simmons or Julian Black. Justice Simmons gonna win a lot of money, but we got Julian Blackman, Jordan Fuller, who has connection with Raheem Morris from Los Angeles last year. Deshaun Elliott, some of the older guys like Eddie Jackson, Jamal Adams, or Micah Hyde. Um, like it's a lot of names out there that the Falcons can add, and I just don't think we
Buda
should.
Baker will be on the market by some point in the summer too. So just keep that in mind. Like more names will come available as the summer goes on. I would love Eddie Jackson though. Oh my god.
Absolutely. And it's like I said, it's a lot of names, and the Falcons just simply aren't done in free agency yet. So still moves to be made. And do you have anything to add to that?
Not really. I know that a couple guys signed day one. But guys that you mentioned there like Micah Hyde, Eddie Jackson, I would kill for that. I would love that on this roster. I don't know what that would mean for Richie Grant. Like maybe he goes back to, is he a nickel slot guy at that point, and then you fill two birds with one stone as him as a depth corner. I just still think back to draft night when they could have taken Asante Samuel Jr., who was on the board at the same time as Richard Grant. Because I hate to play the what if game regarding the draft when people say that we should have taken a D lineman over whatever position we taken. All I do know is the Falcons took a secondary member from a then Group of Five UCF school, one of the down years for UCF, by the way. He wasn't part of the 12-0 Blake Bortles team or the New Year's Six teams that played Auburn and LSU. He was part of those years at UCF after Scott Frost left. And being that there was other better secondary pieces on the board at the time, I was never really in love with the pick, and I always thought Jalen Hawkins was better than him. So it's interesting that here we are, and the Falcons are probably going to have to decide between adding corners or a safety to make sure that Richie Grant isn't a hole in the defense, and I don't think they're going to have enough money now to fill them both. To be honest with you,
Well,
good thing we got extra draft picks.
yeah, you're talking about what us, moving. I meant getting Samuel, but and picking Tyke McKinney over TJ Watt. Never forgive,
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry about that, guys.
I just would never forgive Thomas Dimitrov for picking Tyke McKinley over TJ Watt in the draft. I don't want to think about that, but moving on, continue talking about the draft. It starts April 25th. So the Falcons still have a lot to add in the draft. It's a lot of talent this year, at many positions. And one of the biggest draft things we was looking forward to was the Calvin Ridley trade. We was looking forward to the Jaguars extending him, getting him to getting our pick from a third to a second round pick, but the Jaguars, wanted to be uh, wanted to be weird,
And they
and
lost him, so ha 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 ha. He
yeah,
left. Bye
they
bye.
want they wanted to be weird and try to wait till after the to the new league year started to try to extend him, but
Falcons won the trade, Micah. Falcons won the trade. Falcons won the trade. Yes, sir. Go ahead. Whatever you're doing now.
ultimately, Ridley decided to leave and join their division rival in the Tennessee Titans, signing a $92 million contract. He got the bag. I'm happy for Calvin Ridley. He deserves it, and I will always love him as a Falcon. I wish he was able to stay longer, but I'm always rooting for Calvin Ridley, and I'm happy he got the bag, and I'm happy the Jaguars look stupid. Um, moving on though, the Falcons have the number 8 pick in this year's NFL draft. A lot of talk about what the Falcons should do. Should we go? Should we go edge? Should we go receiver? Should we get a quarterback for the future? I just want to know what your thoughts are on this, Blake.
No more quarterback. Like obviously, if Penix is there in the second round, that's a conversation. That's about the only conversation I'm having. I'm not taking Nix. I'm not taking JJ. I'm not taking Rattler. I'm not taking Milton. I'm not taking any of those guys that are not the big three, which obviously is now absolutely off the window. The only conversation I'm having is like Penix in round two. That's it. Like that's the only conversation I'm even interested in having. Because like we just tried taking a mid-round quarterback and thinking, oh well, he'll learn behind Matt and Marcus, and we just saw how that was last year. So I don't think Terry's getting fooled twice. It's not shame on him, obviously. And so I honestly think that they're probably going to double down on something. And at least I'm hoping. I hope that they sign whatever edge rusher they can find. And I still think that you need a plethora of them because I'm not absolutely certain that Calais is coming back. So I think because we have a defensive head coach now that it's going to be a defensive pick in the first round. And whether it's like a trade back for something like Terry and Arnold because you don't get what you thought you needed in free agency for the secondary, I could see that world. But I think it's going to come down to Jared Verse or Dallas Turner. I think the Malik Neighbors thing is a question. It's definitely a conversation to be had, but I don't know if he really wants to be here, man. Like he grew up deep Louisiana. Like he is black and yellow. Or black and gold. He is a saint, and I don't think that he would really. I'm not saying he'd be a diva here, but I don't think it's worth that whole extracurricular. Like it's obviously
There,
going to be a conversation, but I think it's going to come down to. I hope at least that it's an edge rusher, and that it's either Dallas Turner or Jared Verse, but I think if it is an offensive player, I think it probably at this time will be Malik Neighbors, which, okay, is fine, but that's not where I want.
I,
That's not what I want,
I
at least.
I absolutely don't want Malik Neighbors here. It was just it was a video of him. They were showing assuming what team he would get drafted to, and the Falcons were one of the teams, and his reaction just said it all. And if you don't want to be here, we don't want you here. So you can go to whatever team you want to be. Just if you don't
Yeah.
want to win the championship in Atlanta, that's your fault. But moving on, my preference at number
Too
8.
many mouths to feed if we draft him. Like, I'd rather sign someone like KJ Osborne, one of Kirk's former Vikings teammates, draft someone in the mid rounds, and go with that group than him. Let's get our pass
Absolutely,
rush together.
yeah. My preference at number 8 is definitely we have to go edge. We've been moving it back and back and back each year, and it's time to get
And we've
edge. We've
already
got
whiffed. Leonard Floyd, Daniel Hunter, gone. So
yeah
just
we
can't be
we
Zach McKinley or Vic Beasley. Can't be that.
we've got all these, playmakers, skill position offense. It's time to get that on defense. Get you an edge, get you a difference maker. And my personal preference is Jared Verse. Um, to me, Dallas Turner gives me, if we draft him, don't come back to this. If we draft Dallas Turner, do not come back to this. And if I'm wrong, don't come back to this. But he gives me Vic Beasley vibes for some reason. He's very 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 athletic, but his numbers are not matching up with it, and I don't know what it is. And it's just playing on the Alabama team, being that athletic, and not getting the numbers. I don't see why or how. But Jared
You
Verse,
just showed your card, Micah. You just showed it. You said, "Oh, I don't know, it was the Alabama team." You showed your Bulldog card there. That's the first I've ever heard of anyone saying he's a Vic Beasley
I'm
guy.
just no. I'm just saying he he's in a great system with Alabama, and he has great players around him. So I don't understand how he's not getting the numbers. But Jared Verse, he's athletic and he was producing. So that's my personal preference. I think he do great things. In the NFL, both are great prospects, great. I believe they both will have great careers, but I'm a little scared to go the Dallas Turner route, given the history we've had with Pickett ages, and given the production he had at Alabama. Um, but we both gave our opinion on the first pick. Moving on to the second round, what is your personal preference, Blake?
One thing you can expect for sure in the time that Terry Fonzo has been here is there's going to be a trade up in the second round. There's going to be, and he's going to snag whoever he feels like fell off. Felt not as in fell off as they suck now, but fell off the board in the first round into night two, and he wants to snag him. He did it with Bergeron, he did it with Richie, and he also did it in the previous year after. Who did he take after the 2 years ago in the second round? Was it Troy? No, it wasn't Troy Anderson, was it? Who was the second round pick? I'm blanking.
I
Second
don't
round
think
pick
it was Troy,
2022. Well, that pick doesn't look too great,
or was
but
it
it does.
Evan Katie? Or
It was Ebiketie. Yes, it was Ebiketie. Thank you. Troy and Dez were round three because Troy was the Julio Jones comp pick. So that solves it. But it was Ebiketie who looks really good. Is about a 15 sack player through 2 seasons. Looks really good. I don't know if he's going to be this impact guy, but that's why you need to get this room of edge rushers together so he and Zach Harrison have upticks and they all get better together. That's why Calais was so good for him last year. But honestly, obviously, I think they're going to trade up like they have. You have a couple, second, third, and fourths to use to make that happen. So it makes it even easier this year than it has been in previous years. But I just think they're ultimately going to address what they couldn't do in night one. So if they go edge in night one, I think they probably go corner or wide receiver in night two. I think the Penix conversation will be had if he is there in night two. But obviously, I think we'll know a little bit more of how this team looks come draft night. We're sitting here on March 13th. So we're about 5 weeks away from that. But I think the early guess for me is they trade up and take whatever they felt like they didn't do a great job at taking that first night, and they get their second need in the second round. You?
Um, I say that the Falcons need one more receiver, and I think this is the best time for the Falcons to get in the second round. The receivers start to thin out past the second, third round, so I think it's perfect time to get it. This receiver class is deep, and I don't think a lot of the good names are gonna get past the second, get out of the second or third round. So I think it's perfect time to get it. I see players like Lab McConkey, not just because I'm a Georgia fan. I see him falling because of his his health issues, not being able to stay healthy. I can see Keon Coleman falling. I can see AD Mitchell falling, and
I
it's a
would
lot of
love AD Mitchell, by the way. Would love that. That's
yeah.
honestly might be my pick right now if he's there.
And his Texas teammate, I'm drawing a blank for his name. He's
Jamar's long lost cousin Xavier. Shout out Jamar, by the way.
yeah,
Watch the last podcast. So shout out
yeah.
Mr. Jam.
Yeah, him. It's a lot of great options out there, and if we're able to, snag one of them, it's a win. It's a pair of them with Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and Kyle Pitts. It's a win. And um, another thing I did not address in free agency, I think we need to add another tight end. Given that Johnu Smith was cut, we need to add another tight
We
end. But
got your bulldog, Charlie Warner. We got two bulldogs now. What do you
nah,
mean? I was playing. I'm playing. That's Lee. That's our new Lee Smith.
yeah, just keep him on the line to block. But yeah, it's a lot that multiple directions that the Falcons could go at in the second round. And if they win the if they don't stay at their original second, if they don't stay at their original pick, if they trade up, I can see Terry going for that corner. My only problem with that is I don't know how I would feel about getting another young quarterback in this position. You got a Kirk Cousins. You're ready to win now. Go ahead and get you a vet that's ready to play and knows the game, knows the NFL. Um, unless you're able to get that win now, difference maker in the draft, then that's a win. But if you're not able to get that, then I say go receiver and continue to build the receiver room while not having to pay the big money for a great receiver. Moving on to the Falcons were rumored to have interest in Danielle Hunter and Khalil Mack. Danielle Hunter signed with the Texans. Um, like Blake said, the Falcons offered the most money they could. We just missed out on him, and he decided to go home and play in Houston with the Texans, a hot team, a up and coming team, with a great rookie quarterback this year with CJ Stroud. I don't blame him. He's going home. He doesn't have to pay taxes. He's getting all of that money, and I can't blame him. And the next player was Khalil Mack. Uh, we were expecting him to be cut by the Chargers as a casualty to save money. They went on to cut Mike Williams instead of Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa at the moment. So we and Khalil Mack decided to restructure his contract to give the Chargers more money. So we missed out on both of them. Joey Bosa is still a hope for the Falcons at this point if he is cut. And that's big for the Falcons, given the impact that they would have been able to bring. Um, How did that make you feel seeing the Neil Hunter choose the Texans over the Falcons?
I was glad the Falcons did all they could. Like as I said earlier, the Falcons, gave him as much as they possibly could. He decided to go for the more guaranteed money to his hometown team with less state tax, so he makes more money. So obviously, it makes sense. Like you mentioned that they're a young and upcoming team. Obviously, our quarterback isn't young, but we'd like to think the same thing. Maybe he just didn't want to play with Kirk anymore. I'm not really going to look too far into it, but like that is, I made like a tweet for like 4 days in a row about wanting Daniel Hunter, and I've been on his train for a year. So a little upset, but at least I can I can sit here and confidently know that we did our best. Similar to how the San Francisco Giants GM did, which trying to get Shohei. They matched it. He just decided to go to LA instead. Similar concept here for the baseball fans. But regarding Khalil Mack, that's a whole different thing. I don't really know if I was really too intrigued by that. I know that he had been vastly underperforming, but I know it's also that that coaching staff out there is a mess, but also the Chargers are cursed, but the Falcons are also cursed. So I was really in on Daniel Hunter. Was also in on Leonard Floyd, but I don't know, man. Like it just seems like that is the Achilles heel of this organization. We cannot draft or find edge rushers for anything. Like seeing Calais did what he did last year was a breath of fresh air. But then on the other side of him, you had Brad Dupree, who was a former All Pro, missing sacks with the games on the line, and it's just like, dude, we still find ways to mess it up. Just more of the same.
So I have a question for you. They have reports coming out that Chase Young and Jadavion Clowney are, they have meetings with the Saints and the Panthers. This coming up this week, later this week. How would you feel about the Falcons lining up a meeting and taking one of those players?
I think I'd prefer Javale Leon Clowney. I think Chase Young is. I think I think when the Niners didn't extend him right after they got him, I think that showed who he truly is at this point. He had that amazing rookie year, and people were like, "Oh my God, well maybe the Bengals should have taken." No, I think that conversation solved itself, and he got shipped out of there, and the Niners didn't extend him. I know they're short on cap, but he takes a lot of plays off. I would have much rather the Falcons got Montez Sweat at the deadline, but just like in this Khalil Mack and Daniel Hunter situation, the Falcons were just a little bit outbid in that one. So we could have had so many of these guys. I prefer Clowney though. He is a South Carolina kid, so maybe there's interest to him going to the Panthers, but in same interest to him coming here. I know Aaron Murray would love to watch him on the Falcons every Sunday, but I'm not too crazy about Chase Young anymore, to be honest. But Clowney, we'll have that conversation for sure.
All right, moving on. The Falcons have a couple of free agents themselves that me and Blake think need to be brought back. I'm gonna let you take it and let us know who you want the Falcons to bring back.
All right, we'll go over all the current free agents that are out there. Jeff Okuda already being signed to Houston, as we discussed earlier. The rest of the list includes Calais Campbell, Cordero Patterson. I absolutely want both of those guys back. Bud Dupree, bye bye. Keith B. Smith, Van Jefferson. I think gets brought back via coaching. The coaching that we brought in. Big old Scott Miller, Trey Flowers, Mac Hollins, which actually he signed with Buffalo. I'm pretty sure, so he's off the board. Which okay, that's fine with me. Contavia Street for the right price, sure. Matt Hennessy is pretty much. I think he signed with Philadelphia. It makes a lot of sense. We already got Ryan Newsel back and Cardero Hodge. So a couple of these guys, I don't think are being brought back just because they were Arthur Smith guys. So like Cardero Hodge, I feel like he's out. Um, Matt Hennessy obviously already dipped. Mac Hollins already dipped. So I think Van's brought back offensively. Cordero, I'd love to see brought back offensively. Calais, especially if we continue to miss in the edge room, needs to be brought back ultimately, regardless of what the money is. Um, Beef, I know they love him in the locker room. They can cut Parker Helsey, another Arthur Smith guy that gives you some cap room for that. Big old Scott Miller. I don't know if I'm really that interested in him coming back, especially if we draft another receiver and add someone like Keenan Allen. I feel like guys like Van and like a KJ Osborne would suffice. But yeah, that's the list. I'll list them one more time for you, and not including the guys that are already signed: Calais, Cordero, Bud, Keith, Van, Scotty, Trey, Contavious, and Cordero. Who are you bringing back, Micah? And who are you
I
not?
I absolutely agree with you with Cordell Patterson and Calais Campbell. Cordell Patterson is just too big of a piece in the locker room, too great of a teammate to just let him walk. I'm sure he's not going to demand a lot of money. He said he wants to retire a Falcon. Just why not? If he's not gonna request or demand a lot of money, why not? He's gonna be he's a serviceable backup running back.
Atlanta, I love y'all. Atlanta, Georgia changed my life. What's that sound like? He wants to be here. So
Yep, he's a serviceable backup running back. Like Blake said off air, we're not gonna have B. John Robinson and Tyler Algier for 17 games. So to have a backup like Cordell Patterson, it'd be big for us, and to have him continue to return kicks, the kick return king. It's a great thing to have, and for Calais Campbell, he's a great teacher, as Blake mentioned, and he was producing. He was if you're able to get that both of that out of a vet defensive end, and he's at the end of his career and still able to do that. It's big for us. I won't be surprised if he follows Ryan Nielsen to the Jaguars, but if we're able to get him and we're able to if he wants to come back, why not? And Keith Smith, he's another player I would want back for the locker room vibes. Great player. The teammates love him. The fans love him. He's very active on Instagram. Always replying to my comments, liking my comments. So I've always been a fan of him. Van Jefferson. He has Rams connection with the new offense coordinator, Zach Robinson. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Um, Everybody else though, bye. I, I'm not interested in anyone else, especially I would want Scotty Miller, but we have Darnell Mooney now, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna add in the draft. So um
Cordero also can play wide receiver, so there's more
yep.
stones. So I'd rather have that at that point. Or KJ Osborne, which I think is probably going to happen if Keenan Allen doesn't happen. So
Yep. So I those are players I want back. The rest can go. And Catavia Street, he was good for us in Grady Jarrett's absence. Very very good backup. He played meaningful minutes, and he produced. He was good. I wouldn't be mad if they brought him back for the like Blake said, for the right money. But
you would also not be able to have like that would if that happens like you didn't draft someone at 8. Grady's comeback isn't on the right track. You didn't re-sign Calais. I feel like other things have to happen in that time span. But if those things don't fall correctly, like he is someone that I'd be willing to bring back if other things don't go to plan. I'm not like
absolutely,
it's different than me just saying like Bud Dupree. If they bring him back, and I'd be like, damn. But like if Contavious is brought back, I would be like, okay, I'm fine with it. But it's not my personal choice.
yeah, absolutely. But moving on to somebody that's already on the roster, locked in, um, that's ready to play for the next season. B. John Robinson. He came out and said he's aiming for 2,000 yards this upcoming season. Um, just we like we've been talking the whole time. We have weapons on this team. We're stacked. This offense is stacked, and we're not done stacking. And just hearing B. John have this as a goal for himself just shows how determined and ready he is for the next season. Um, so I can't wait to see what B. John does. I'm ready to see him break records in the Falcons jersey. Um, and I'm just like I said, ready to see what this season holds for us. Um, Moving forward, we have AJ Terrell and Kyle Pitts. They're both ready for an extension. You want to get into the specifics with the AJ Terrell extension, how that can open up money for the Falcons?
So yeah, I also learned this from Locked On Falcons. So second shout out of the night to Aaron over there with that show. Great production, just like Brad Rowland and Jake Mastriani, all of the Locked On Atlanta shows. Great production. Love watching them when I get the chance. And he hosts his Twitter Spaces on Discord on Saturdays during the off season, and I think he does them some during in season too. He hosts them on there so he can kind of monitor them better. But I asked him, regarding our I think it was, I don't know, early in the season last year, regarding how AJ had started the season. I'm like, well, I know that we don't have as much money this offseason, but we do got to extend AJ. How would that work? He's like, you actually end up getting more cap space by extending AJ. So this is coming from Aaron Freeman, who knows quite a little bit. I've learned, he's called some things correctly, and I've that's why I watched that show, because he has been a correct on a lot of things that I've listened to since then. I'm sure you can say the same, Micah. He told me that basically if you extend AJ Terrell, and hopefully it's not an overpay, it has to be for the right value, because as Dylan said previously on the show at one point too, pay him good money, not great money. He's a good corner, not a great corner. But obviously, the Falcons, just like edge rushers, they don't grow on trees for this organization. So I'm willing to keep him around. Sure, he hasn't had an interception in 2 years. There's a reason he's playing defense, not offense. The picks will come like that. That's eventually he'll eventually catch a ball. But I'm paying him, and in doing so, you actually free up more money because you move his cap hit back a year because he's on the 5th year, and his extension would kick in later, opening up more money this offseason to sign guys. And obviously, they're probably going to do the whole restructure with Grady and Jake like they do every year or two, anyways. Um, Obviously, I don't think they're going to have as much money as I originally thought, being that I hear that they might keep Taylor now. We talked about that earlier. But I'm obviously doing that. Kyle, I'm not absolutely sure, even as a Florida fan, because he hasn't shown it yet, and he's still a couple years away. So I don't think his cap hit would work in the same way. But AJ, absolutely extending him for the right money because it also helps us this offseason fill out the rest of the roster, which we've already spoke about numerous times. Muted. Muted. Sorry, audience. Go ahead, Micah.
My bad. I'm sorry. But I absolutely agree. AJ Terrell, good corner, not a great corner, and that was a great explanation for Dylan by Dylan. Um, so if he's ready to sign an extension, and not demand a lot of money, why not get it done? If it's gonna get us great money, more money, why not get it done? So, and Kyle Pitts, he has another prove it year. Um, so this is a time for him to do it. He has a quarterback now, and he's ready to prove it. So, um, this is moving on to the next thing is a little fun segment doing with Blake. Um, and it's where do the Falcons rank in the NFC? I'm gonna list the NFC teams, and Blake will tell me better or worse.
Well, ultimately, I think as this is the last segment tonight, I'll say the only reason I'm doing this, I feel like it's only right, is because you gave your hot take on Dallas Turner that has a chance to be wrong. So we're sitting here on March 13th, March 14th now for me, and I'm gonna be listing teams. I know there's holes. I know these rosters are gonna look completely different come August and September, but I'm gonna go ahead and say where we're at right now, and this will be my hot take that I'll probably absolutely be wrong on. But just to return the favor, I'm gonna say exactly where the Falcons are at out of 16 in the NFC. But you go ahead and do the honors. I'm ready here and listening before we close this out.
So we're gonna start with the Dallas Cowboys, who finished 12-5 this year. And where do you have the Falcons ranked compared to them?
Worse.
Worse. The Philadelphia Eagles finished the season at 11-6. Where do you have the Falcons?
Eagles slumped hard. We would have beat them in the playoffs with our roster last year. I wish I would have been there to see it. But I mean, nice get back from the Braves to the Phillies, but I'm still gonna say worse.
The New York Giants finished the season at 6-11. Where do you have them?
That's New York sports. Atlanta's better.
Always. The Washington Commanders ended the season at 4-13. Where do you have the Falcons?
The Falcons got to find a way to beat them head to head, but yes, they are a better team right now.
Moving on to the NFC North, the Detroit Lions finished the season at 12-5. Where do you have the
Uh,
Falcons?
I'm still taking Detroit, especially since Ben Johnson's still there and they got money to spend this offseason. I'm still gonna take Detroit.
Agreed. The Green Bay Packers finished the season at 9-8. Where do you have the Falcons?
That organization just has a lot better luck than us. We for whatever reason we always beat them head to head. Had a great comeback win versus them last year. I could definitely see myself being wrong on this one if we handle the rest of the offseason accordingly. But I'm probably still going to have to take Green Bay and that winning organization over where we're at right on the night of March 13th.
All right, and the Minnesota Vikings finished the season at 7-10, and we now have their starting quarterback on our side. Where do you have them?
Justin Jefferson's out of there too. Yeah, we're better than Minnesota, and we'll beat them week 1 on prime time.
The Chicago Bears finished the season at 7-10. Also, where do you have them?
Doesn't matter who's playing quarterback for them. Doesn't matter if we play them in the snow again next year. We're better than them.
Moving on to the NFC West, we have the 49ers at 12-5, Super Bowl, NFC Championship winners.
It's their NFC to lose. Atlanta's not at that level yet. I'll take the Niners over us, sadly.
The Los Angeles Rams stole their defensive coordinator. He's now on our side. They finished the season at 10-7. Where do you have them?
Ooh, I feel like I want to say we're better, but I feel like that's one that could come back to get me. Being we took a lot of their guys, we played them. If we played them, which I know we don't next year, I feel like that'd be somebody that plays up to us, being that they know what we're doing. Similar situation to what Kirk is in here. Stafford was there, so I think because of that, I'll probably have to go the Rams, basically because we tried to strip their IQ and do what they did. So I'll take the Rams for that, but I can easily see myself being wrong about them or the Packers by September.
Then we have the Seattle Seahawks at 9-8 last season. Where do you have them?
Falcons are better than them. They don't have a quarterback either right now. So Geno's not the long term answer. They're not in a spot to take one. I'll take Atlanta.
The Arizona Cardinals get their quarterback back in Kyler Murray for a full season. They finished the season at 4-13, and they beat the Falcons last year in a terrible game. Where do you have them?
Well, if the Falcons could have just beaten them, the Cardinals would have been top three, and then there's a world where the Falcons could have traded up to the top three to get their quarterback, but no. But yeah, I'll take Atlanta over them. But good to see that they're keeping Kyler even with the new regime. I like that. But I'll take the Falcons for sure.
On to our own division, the NFC South, the worst division in the NFC. Tampa Bay Buccaneers win a division last year at 9-8. So where do you have the Falcons? Yeah.
I think that's going to be between us and Tampa throughout the season. Like they have definitely retained a lot more guys than I thought they would. Like basically all they've lost is Shaq Barrett. They paid Baker, they paid Mike Evans, they paid a couple of their linebackers. They're not going anywhere. And so because of that, like I got to give them that respect. The Falcons have to show to me and prove to me that they can beat them, and they did last year, but they didn't when it mattered. So because of that, and I want to be wrong about this 100%, I'm probably still going to say Tampa as we sit here in the middle of March.
Then we have the New Orleans Saints tying with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but losing the season series against them. Where do you have the Falcons compared to them?
Yeah, Falcons are better than the Saints. Screw them.
Always.
Yeah, Kirk is better than Carr, by the way.
Definitely not a conversation. And then do I even have to say the last one? Like,
Hopefully, we find a way to sweep them for once. But yes, we're better than Carolina. Yeah,
so I
need those
got
two
you.
wins though. Need two wins versus them.
If I counted correctly, I got you saying the Falcons are confidently worse than four teams, and you're on the bubble with three other teams, with that
That's
being the Buck.
playoffs right there, man. That's the playoffs right there,
Yep,
and it's
and
only March. So
I
yeah,
agree with a lot of what you said, but I would put the Falcons over the Buccaneers, and it'd be pretty interesting to see how we are compared to the Packers with us going in the same direction as of right
we'll
now.
do this
So
again in the preseason, like for sure. One of our preseason shows will come back to this. So
definitely. So I'm not gonna get my hot take on this. I don't want y'all coming back and fighting me for both the Dallas Turner and me saying something about this. So
just protect
um
ourselves though. It is mid March, so things can
yeah,
change between now and training camp and preseason. But yeah, just want to put that out
definitely.
there.
Yeah.
And we are
Um
realists on this show, as always. So do you want me to close this out?
yep.
So yeah. Again, realism as always on this program, and we do appreciate you guys coming back to join us for the Kirk Cousins episode here on the Around the A. Kirk O'Chains, Captain Kirk, Captain Crunch, Mr. Cousins. He's here, and he's here in the
Yes,
404.
sir.
So get your chains out like I myself have for Kirk Cousins. And yeah, just finally glad that the Falcons have the quarterback solved. They built the team exactly what we thought they would, and I'm really happy at the end of the day. And it's not something we've been able to say a lot in our fandomhood as Falcons fans. But appreciate you guys for joining us again tonight. Once again, like we did earlier, thanks for watching. Make sure you guys like and comment and subscribe to the Around the A YouTube channel, whether it's a clip out of ours, whether it's an audio format, whether it's something that you guys see on our own socials. We appreciate the support, whatever way you watch. Make sure you guys drop us a follow on Twitter, myself at Newsome Sports ATL, as shown by my at on the screen. Micah as well, at Micah TYN. We'll make sure that you follow us and we'll talk ball with us all the time. I host Twitter Spaces 2 weeks away from Braves opening day. I'll be doing those a lot more often. I still host Falcon Spaces every now and again. I jump into Hawk Spaces. We'll have a Hawk show probably next week for you guys here on the program. But yeah, new Brave show drop Monday. Make sure you guys go watch that after this one. And Micah, I'm sure I'll see you, whatever day you're most free this weekend on your spring break, and we'll probably do another Brave show or a Hawk show. We'll decide. But anything else you want to leave the viewers with tonight before we shut this off?
I just want all the Falcons fans to like Mike Bell said, y'all can't continue to be joyless. Be happy about the quarterback we got. Be behind him. Y'all didn't do it with Matt Ryan. Do it with Kirk Cousins. Be happy. We got a proven vet. Let's go out there and win games. Be behind them and support. Let's go. Rise up.
If those get the tapping inside joke, you know. But if not, we'll see you guys next time. We'll see you for a Hawks or Brave show. Make sure you guys support the rest of the channel, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Peace out. Go Raytown, Blake out. And the Falcons are back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
Micah, can I get
sir.
a ah?
Aha. Aha.
Hawk show coming on the weekend, guys.